guys, welcome back to Urban Rhino Tutorials. On this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a pair of bead and tassel drop earrings. So I have a pair of, well, not a pair, but I have duplicates of everything here, obviously, to make the two earrings. So there are some eye pins as well as two head pins that we're going to be using. And for each earring, you're going to need 3 eye pins, and I'm going to make sure I'm thinking that through. 3 eye pins and 2 head pins. So we're going to begin by sliding. I have some little tassels that I'm going to put on here. These are 1-inch tassels. I'm going to put 3 on one of my, there we go, on one of my eye pins. Just kind of straighten out the strands of the tassel and just kind of work it on to the end of the pin. There we go. And then what we need to be doing is making a loop on the side of the eye pin that is still straight. So I want to try to make that loop match the existing loop so that they are the same size, going the same direction, basically look the same. So I'm going to trim down this eye pin so that there is only about a 1/2 inch sticking out. I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I'm going to grab the end of it. Sorry, I'm realizing now I'm a little off the screen. And I'm just going to make a matching loop. There we go. And that just kind of, takes some time to learn where to position them on the pliers, how to get them going the same direction, how much to cut down, all of that. So what will end up happening is the head pin will slide up on each side. We'll have several sets of the beaded segments and it will connect it all together. So I have these pre-made strands. You guys probably know by now I love using these just because they are just something sometimes that you might not think of putting some colors together. So I like seeing these and how the colors work together. So what I'm going to do is just cut it apart and use some of the beads to create these beaded segments that will rest right above the tassels. So let me cut this apart here. And grab another eye pin. So it's going to sit like that right above it, and I'm going to put 3 or 4 of these beads on. I want to try to get my eye pin to be the exact same length or as close as I can to the eye pin that is directly below it. And I think 4 beads is how many it will take. I'm going to try 5 just to make sure, but ooh, that's a close call. I think I think 4 is what it's going to take. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist here. I'm just going to stare at that for a minute. Yeah. So you can see if I were to take one off, it might make it just slightly smaller, but if I leave one on, it's going to be too big, and I'd rather it be a little smaller if need be. So we've got the 4 on that I want. I'm going to cut down the eye pin again so that there's only a 1/2 inch sticking out. I am going to make the loop in the eye pin so that they match. Just want to make sure I get it how I want. And you can see here how the loops are the same size. I have my 4 beads on there. And I'm just going to continue on doing the same thing to the other side as well as a couple more here on this one. So let me jump ahead. And now each earring has the tassels as well as 3 little segments. I'm going to take one of the head pins, so you can see it has the flat bottom. I'm going to use those on each side to connect everything. So to begin, I want to put one of my beads on the head pin. I'm going to slide the head pin through the loop of my tassel segment. So just like this, if you can see, I'm going to put another bead on That way the next segment of beads doesn't just fall right on top of them. So we want that bead to separate them. Here goes the next segment, and then I'm going to continue that and put another bead on. If I can get it. There we go. So you can kind of see how it's starting to come together there. Put my next segment of beads and another bead on the head pin. And then we're going to slide on the final segment. And I'm going to put one more bead on. And then from here, I'm going to do like I did with all the other little beaded segments. I'm going to trim down the head pin, again, so that there's that same amount sticking out, about 1/2 inch. I want to take my round pliers and make a loop. And again, I apologize. In some of these videos, you might see me kind of off the screen a second. I'm trying to avoid, leaning under the camera, but yet at the same time, when I do that, I don't realize that my video is off the camera. And then by the time I've created the whole thing and I go back and look at the video, I notice it. So hopefully doesn't throw you off too much. So I have the loop finished here. I'm just making sure that it's the size that I want. So when I looped it, it was still just a little bigger than what I really wanted. So I just opened it up and I'm just going to re-curl the wire, re-twist the wire to make that loop so that it's a little bit smaller, because keeping these the same size is, at least to me, is important. So no harm in just fixing that. All right, so now we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. And again, I will slide the bead on the first, this will be the second head pin. Slide it through the first little loop here. Now I'm going to put my next bead on. There we go. I'm going to kind of pull this right back out a little bit to be able to swing around that second beaded segment and put the the head pin through the loop of the eye pin. Put my next bead on. I'm going to push it up a little bit. And now I'm putting my third segment on the head pin. I'm going to put my next bead on. And now we'll put the final segment on. There we go. And the final bead. There we go. Now we'll just push that up. Lost her. Put it back on here. And push the head pin through. And again, we need to trim this down so that there is only the 1/2 inch sticking out, and I want that wire or the loop to match the same, the other one there. So let me make my loop here. Obviously, this is a much more in-depth tutorial than some of our other ones. You can see my 2 loops are the same, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other earring. And then when I return, I'm going to show you how to hook on the chain. So I have a piece of chain cut that is about 1 1/4 inches. And it's completely up to you. Obviously, these could be changed up depending on the size of the beads, the amount of tassels, the length of the tassels, the length of the chain, all of that. So for this particular example, I chose about 1 1/4 inch length of chain. I'm going to open just slightly this eye pin, hook on the last link of my chain that I'm using. And I'm using a really small curb chain, by the way. So I'm going to close the eye pin back up like that. Make sure it's closed all the way. And now I will repeat the same on the other side. So from here, I will open the other eye pin. Like that. And grab the end of the chain. I want to make sure it's not twisted. And just place it on the loop and close it up just like this. There we go. So I'm going to repeat the same for my other earring. When I return, I'm going to show you how to put the ear wires on, just like this one. So I'm going to grab an ear wire. I'm going to open up the loop on it, just like we did with the eye pins. And all I'm going to do is just hook that onto the very center point of the top of the chain. So I'm going to find where that center is. You can count the links, or like I do, I'm just going to eye it and figure out where it goes. Just like this, I'm going to hook it on, close it up, and it is as simple as that. So I will include links in the description below where you can purchase these items if you would like to make your own set of earrings just like this. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below, and thanks for watching, guys.